Hey guys, welcome to the Redmen TV, about to bring you a clip from our JNO Inside Show. This week, me and Paul Gorst spoke about Alisson Becker. We spoke about too many games in light of Rodri's injury. We spoke about Enzo. But in this clip, we're going to be speaking about Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract after he spoke to the media after Liverpool's win at the weekend. If you want to see the entire show, or if you want to listen to it, check it out for free. Go to redmenplus.com, sign up as a monthly captain subscriber, use the promo code LFC when you do that, and yet you'll be able to watch or listen to all of our shows over on Redmen Plus free for your first month. So check that out, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this clip with me and Paul. Right then, let's move on to the main topic, Paul, of the show today. It was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, he spoke to you guys in the mix zone, right? In saying, is that right? After the Bournemouth game. Obviously, when you read these quotes, sometimes text doesn't always translate as well to, like, you know, a spoken into or a written into or a video one or like that. So I want to get some context behind these ones. I think I'm right in saying in the first part of the interview, it says, like, he's asked him to speak in Milan. He said, I'll see you at the weekend. Yeah. And then he come over and spoke at the weekend. Obviously, you guys are always going to ask him about the contract. Every time he gets in front of a microphone, he's obviously going to be asked about it. He kind of batted it away a little bit, said he's never done it before in public, won't again. What was the mood like around the conversation with him? Because obviously that doesn't translate as much in text as... Yeah,
I actually wasn't in that one. Okay, I was off for the Bournemouth game. It was Ian Doyle who sort of stepped into my shoes into the mix zone. But yeah, you're right. I think it was James Pearce asked him in Milan, you know, any chance of 2 minutes. And he, I mean, he does this quite a lot, to be fair, Trent. You know, he sort of says, I can't do it now, we need to get off, but are you there next week? And okay, we'll see you next week, and then normally you don't, and it's just like a little bit of a polite sort of refusal. So I think most people were expecting that to happen again, but to be fair to him, he's fronted up, he's come out and he's spoken about it, and I think maybe he sort of a bit of counsel over what to say when the inevitable contract question comes. Maybe he's had a word with his representatives or, you know, friends and family of, you know, what should I do about this? And they've said, well, perhaps now is the time to come out and just say a few things on it. And I don't think he was careful in what he said. I think it was deliberate that he spoke to reporters who he is familiar with and quite friendly with, you know, sort of chatting to informally in mix zones and stuff. I think he possibly would have been a bit more guarded had he not known the reporters that he was speaking to, and that comes with being at games and covering the club, you know, day in, day out, and that is, you know, part and parcel of what we do. So yeah, Ian Doyle was in that huddle alongside James Pearce, I think, and a couple of others, possibly Paul Joyce, and yeah, he was quite honest to a point, wasn't he, where he was saying he doesn't want to play that in public, which is something that we were already aware of. And I thought it was interesting that he spoke of how much he's enjoying life under slot, and he said that essentially it comes down to trophies. So reading between the lines, maybe putting words in Trent's mouth, hopefully not, but it seemed as though he's thinking, I need to see what the lay of the land is like with this new backroom staff, this new manager, this new way of working first before I commit. And I guess if you take out the whole boyhood allegiances and all that sort of stuff, I think it's fair enough, because the club has undergone a massive transition in the last 4 or 5 months. So I think he's waiting to see what it's looking like, and so far so good. It's shaping up really well, everything looks great. But I think maybe sort of around Christmas time, Liverpool will have a better idea of where they are, what they're able to do, what they're capable of doing in the second half of the season. And then Alexander-Arnold will be more mindful of what he's able to do. But undoubtedly Real Madrid are sniffing around, no doubt about that at all. And it's probably, I think it was 100 days on Monday, so it's 96, 95 days now until he can speak to them about a pre-contract agreement, which I think for Liverpool has got to be really scary, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, when you read the comments, and I say, you can either, if your glass half empty, you can find real negatives in it, and if your glass half full, you can find real positives. I suppose the negative is when he goes, I think he's asked, you want to be a Liverpool? He goes, well, I want to be a Liverpool player this season. Yeah. That's what I'll say. And then he goes on to say later on, no, you know, glass half full. He's always wanted to be the captain of the football club. That's a goal of his. Whether he says, you know, it's not in my hands at the moment. Yeah. So if you're looking at it, yeah, you can take those comments both ways. Really, you can go, actually, he's half batted away that he's staying. Actually, no, he wants to be the captain of the football club. Therefore, he wants to hang around. Yeah. Because he said the thing of, you know, he won't play out in public, which is absolutely fair enough, and rightly so as well. We're all trying to get our takes on this, aren't we? Like, do we think he's going? Do we think he's staying? You're reading everything into it, which maybe explains why he doesn't speak about it too much, because we're picking bones out of every single thing he says.
Yeah, I mean, that is it, isn't it? You know, everything he says gets analysed to the nth degree in the same way Virgil will and the same way Mo Salah will. So, yeah, it's understandable why he's not out there every week speaking to us, getting asked about it. And to be fair, Virgil fronts up every game, and I think, we haven't really asked him about it for I think the Sevilla friendly was the last time he got asked about his contract, so that's coming up to best part of 2 months now. So maybe, you can sort of put that one to him next time we speak to him. But yeah, when Trent says it's out of my hands, I wonder how much of that is true, because with Mo Salah, maybe it is because of his contract, the amount that he earns, the age of him. With Virgil, it's the same. He's a little bit older than Mo, isn't he? And, if Liverpool haven't offered a contract, then maybe the age is part of the thinking there for Liverpool. But with Trent, he's only 25. So you'd imagine if he says, look, let's talk about a new contract, you'd imagine Liverpool would be more than willing to open those talks and really get down to business. So I think that's where this idea that it's not in his hands sort of differs compared to the other two. And of course there are similarities between all three situations, but there's key differences as well, and I think that's one of them where Alexander-Arnold is concerned.
I was going to say, there's a world, I don't agree with it, but there's a world where someone at Liverpool decides we're not keeping Mo Salah, we're not keeping Virgil because they're in the 30s, we need to look ahead. I'd rather not pay that much money to a 30-odd-year-old mid-30s player. There is no logical reason that would happen with Alexander-Arnold. It's just there's no reason not to. The only way it wouldn't happen is if he turns up and goes, I want £500,000 a week, and then you've got to make a decision. But there's no world where Liverpool don't want this to happen, which makes you think, what is the hold up? Is it financial? Is it him just wanting to have a little look what's going on? Is it that he's actually going to Real Madrid, he's had his head turned? All these things are in play at the moment because this is something that's actually quite rare. It's been a long time since what you say as a player in his peak years has run down his contract. Usually it's been Liverpool's choice. Liverpool let Gini Wijnaldum go. Liverpool let Roberto Firmino go. Liverpool, I think, chose to let Emre Can go, like that one as well.
Yeah, Origi, Milner.
Yeah, it was like you're looking back like Steve McManaman, like time when he went on a free to Real Madrid all those years ago. Before you can get to a place where we're in this situation now.
Yeah, so that's 25 years. Yeah, you're right, and that is the unthinkable for Liverpool and the supporters, that he leaves on a free transfer to Real Madrid. And look, they will be convinced that they can get him, I'm sure of that. They've just got Kylian Mbappe, and that was the most tedious transfer saga of all time, wasn't it? It went on for about 5 years, and it was the same thing every week. And then eventually he goes to Real Madrid, and lo and behold, we're all meant to be shocked and surprised. So, yeah, no doubt that they will be looking at this situation very keenly, and the countdown is on for Liverpool now, and they've only really got a handful of months to maybe get Trent on side. And a lot of that, going from what he's saying in those comments, will come from what's happening on the pitch. And so far, that is all looking good. But also as well, he will feel the need to be valued in the way that, he is obviously with the captain's armband, the vice captaincy rather, the position in the leadership group that he's got. But he's got to back that up with the bottom line as well, I guess.
He's saying, Paul, he's not going to play out in public again. Makes sense. Why would he? It's not in his best interest at any point to do that. Is there any mood music coming from Liverpool on this situation? Are they confident? Are they not confident? Because again, we're not getting nothing off Trent. Sometimes things Liverpool are, they'll say, we're working on or nothing, but it feels like there's been not much coming out of Liverpool either, really, on this.
Yeah,
situation.
No, that is very true. It's a very sort of respectful in pass, isn't it? And as a result, the silence gets filled with speculation, with links to Real Madrid, whether it's wild, baseless stuff, or whether it's, kernels of truth in it. That is what happens when you're content to just keep a quiet on it all. And that's been the situation from Trent's team, that's been the situation from the club, and that is where we're at, I guess. So no surprise that Real Madrid are being linked. They seem to be the only one at the moment that you're hearing about. Obviously, I'd imagine every club in the world would be queuing up to try and get him on a free transfer at the age of 26, but Real Madrid is the only name that keeps sort of coming back, and you can understand why they would be at the front of the table on New Year's Day. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. It'd be interesting to see how this all pans out, but again, not take your reporter's head off, just I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Where do you think this is heading? Because the longer it takes, I've always been convinced Trent's going to stay, and I still think that will happen. But obviously, like you say, as the clock ticks down, and we're in October in a week's time, and then you're not that far away, and then all of a sudden it's January 1st, and nothing's happened yet. You can't help but feel like Liverpool could potentially be about to lose a £150 million asset here, and the vice captain of the football club, one of the best players, for absolutely nothing. And that is something that we all have to get our heads around now.
Yeah, that's an incredible sort of unthinkable prospect, isn't it? You know, like you say, the value of him in his peak years in England international, and also the emotional ties as well. Like the boyhood lad who come through the academy and become a star of the team, and then becomes, you know, captain virtually anyway. And yeah, I couldn't really hazard a guess on Alexander-Arnold without meaning to sit on the fence. I'd probably say I think Van Dijk gets done. We know Salah wants to stay, so I think that will get done. But with Trent, I couldn't really hazard a guess anymore, because we know how much he loves the club. We know what it means to him to eventually one day be captain. We know he wants to sort of follow in the footsteps of Steven Gerrard, and how far up the sort of all-time greats list does he go if he stays at Liverpool now for the next 5 or 6 years of his career. That is a really tantalising prospect for him. But on the flip side, I can see a world where he goes to Real Madrid and all the sort of noise around his defending. You know, can he defend? He can't defend. Gary Neville dissecting him left, right and centre every other week. You know, England, every time he goes there, all that just goes away, because you're sort of out of sight, out of mind a little bit. When you know, we obviously had one of the biggest clubs in the world in Real Madrid, but I can't say I've seen much of them this season other than YouTube clips or, you know, Twitter clips. You know, you'll see good stuff that Kylian Mbappe's doing, Jude Bellingham's doing, but you don't really see the nuts and bolts of the games, do you? And I think that would suit Alexander-Arnold in terms of his detractors, because they wouldn't be able to argue that he can't defend anymore, because you just see the YouTube clips of him playing an incredible pass, you know, assists and all that sort of stuff. So I could see a world where that happens, sadly. You know, that's why I'm a little bit 50-50 on this one at the moment.
Yeah, like I say, I've always edged towards thinking he'll stay, but yeah, you're right. I actually think this is the one that Liverpool would most like to get done, and it actually feels the one that's the hardest and the most and the furthest away, which again goes to show how good he is. You know, Real Madrid want him. Like, you know, they tend not to want bad players; they tend to get the best.
They tend to get them as well.
And well, that's the problem. How many players turn Real Madrid down, and you know, his best mate plays for them and things like that. It is definitely a worry. But again, maybe I'm cynical, and maybe I'm not. I don't know. Like, the fact that he's chosen, I say chosen to speak about it. He didn't really speak about it, so I have to be careful when I say this. But like, he didn't just come out and flat back say, listen, don't ask me about it, or I'm not speaking about it. He was like, I'm being, but he did, you know, things like, you know, I want to be the captain. I've always had that ambition to be the captain. Like, when Mo Salah spoke after that United game, when he went on Sky, everyone was like, it's him giving the nudge towards the football club. Do we read too much between the lines sometimes on that? Is it just him giving an interview to you guys and doing his job?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the difference with Salah was Sky Sports are rights holders, so they essentially say, we want to speak to Mo Salah, and then the club had to go and sort of get him and put him up. The difference with Trent on this one was he didn't have to, he wasn't obligated to speak to us. I mean, to say us, I wasn't actually there for that one, but 9 times out of 10 I would have been, just happened to miss that one. Yeah, he didn't have to front up, but he sort of knew that he wasn't going to be taken out of context. He knew that what he said was going to be handled responsibly by the reporters who spoke to him. You know, reporters who do have a good rapport with him when they see him at games and stuff. So I think it was all very fair enough and down the line. And it was interesting that he did feel the need that now is perhaps the time to say something on the situation, because he walked past us at Ipswich and we said, Trent, 2 minutes, and he said, what would you possibly want to speak to me about? You know, sort of messing and just walked on. And that was, 5 weeks ago? So now the situation may have changed. I don't foresee a world where he's going to be speaking to us every other week about this, but it was interesting that he felt the need to break the silence, if you like, even though he perhaps hasn't said loads either way. I still thought it was interesting, the stuff that he said about Slot and how much he's enjoying working with him, how he works with him to improve the defensive aspect of his game, which, you know, for me is exaggerated at times, but it's probably still the part of his game where he can improve most. So yeah, it was all interesting stuff without, you know, a booming statement of intent one way or another.